Hola, hola. I'm Zulean Cruz-Diaz, your Texas Rican host, and this is Una Preguntita. Each week, you and I take one big question and break it down to grow in this real and messy life we live in. From engineering to farming in Hawaii to running my own business, I have learned that life does not come with a manual, pero sí con preguntas, with questions. So, tell me, amigui, have you ever felt like you're thriving in one area of your life but lost in another? Yeah, been there too. Each week, you and I dive into the stuff nobody really teaches us, how to lead, connect, and communicate better, y con tools that you can actually use. Grab tu cafecito, get comfy, and let's figure this out together. Esto es Una Preguntita, where curiosity and understanding lead to action. Vamos! Okay, amigui. I am so excited for this episode today because I have a special guest.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Dina. Bienvenida.
Hola.
All right, Dina. Before we dive into today, let me give my amigui listening in a little background on you, okay?
Sure.
Amigui, today's guest is Dina Sabnani. Dina is somebody who shows up exactly who she is, no matter where she is. When I see Dina, I think of a wildflower. She will bloom and connect with others wherever she is, whether it's a beautiful watered garden every day or even growing in the most unexpected places. Her authenticity and the way that she helps others discover their own inner harmony is what makes her truly unforgettable. Professionally, she's known as the Joy Activator, a speaker, a healer, a guide who's shared her gifts with communities around the world. But honestly, it's not the title that makes her special. It's her genuine energy and that incredible ability she has to walk alongside people through whatever they're facing in life. Dina, welcome to Una Preguntita.
You're going to make me cry.
Sounds like we got started on a good note then.
That was beautiful. Thank you for seeing into me like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, Dina, recently the topic that's been like running through my mind and spinning has been about money and wealth. And currently, there are talks of getting a house with my fiance and growing my business finances, and business talks with you have all happened really in these last few weeks. And so up until a few weeks, I thought wealth was purely monetary. But the other day you hit me with something that was really just stuck with me. Like I literally had to jot it down. And on Una Preguntita, right away, we always get started con una pregunta, a question. So Dina, I'm asking you, what is your definition of wealth that you use?
That's a really interesting question. But, I did some work. I've done a lot of professional development. I love getting mentored. And one of my mentors that I absolutely love, he's like my spirit animal, is Joseph McClendon III. And he had a definition of wealth that I've borrowed from. So for him, and wealth spelt WEALTH, the normal way, was happiness, health, and financial prosperity, which I was like, this is perfect. I just tweaked it a little bit. And as I was really focused on my own well-being, that's what I do, right? I'm a well-being expert. And just recent life events, I've realized just how crucial our health is as well, and wellness all over.
Yes.
And so late night download was wealth spelt WELLTH. So wealth. And to me, that is happiness, health, well-being, and abundance. And most of the time we think wealth and it goes straight into material, money, monetary success, right? A wealthy person, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, those kind of things. But we have to step back. In a society, and this is something I've struggled with, right? we're constantly measured by someone else's definition of success.
Yes.
And your bank balance is your self-worth. And that has been something that I have been working on for a while, but it's like an onion. You go into deeper and deeper levels. You go into, your family limiting beliefs. You go into ancestral stuff. And so all of that to then come back and say, Dina, what is it? What is true wealth to you? And it's happiness, that vitality and vigor that is health, not just your, lab work being great, but really being in a state of radiance. And then abundance, which money, yes, very important, but also an abundance of great relationships around you, right? People that were social beings. So connections are key, an abundance of opportunity, an abundance of just all the good things.
Yeah. Okay, so just to make sure my amigi listening in got it. So wealth to you, spelled with the double L, wealth, is happiness. It is health in the radiance way, not just the lab work way. And it is also abundance, which is partially money and partially your other. We usually talk about financial capital, but we don't talk about social capital as well, right?
Emotional capital. Spiritual capital. That is all a factor of well-being, right?
Yes. And so how did you begin to reframe what wealth meant for you? I know you said there was a lot of layers, right? I grew up the generation of the Shrek generation. Ogres are like onions. We have layers, right? So how did you get to that point where you just began to take a layer off and a layer off? How did you begin to really just reframe that abundance, and that well-being mindset?
Wow. Deep question. It's just from, growing up and always feeling different. I didn't follow. So my background, I'm an Indian girl from India. Both my parents are Indian from India. I was born in the Philippines and raised in Hong Kong. Lived in LA, New York, San Francisco, and Dubai. And I never followed the typical conservative Indian, go maybe get a degree, but it was mainly secretarial school and then get a job and then find a good man to get married to. And that was your life. So I never fit into the box. I got into healing at a very young age. I was really lucky that both my parents were very open-minded. And I was always a happy chick. I was always sort of danced to the beat of my own drum. And it wasn't something that I tried to do. It was my personality. I couldn't fit into the boxes that people wanted me to fit into. But I struggled, right? I got my degree. I went through several jobs. But I kept having that, what is this all about? I had my last corporate job. I was the marketing manager of a leading fashion retailer in Dubai. I had 27 stores. I did the above the line marketing and the below the line marketing. But I'd be in my office from morning to evening. I'd have events on the weekends. And I asked myself, what? It just didn't feel fulfilling. I was like, I'm making money for other people. I have nothing left at the end of the month, more month than money. And I kept questioning this definition of success, this definition of who we're supposed to be. And so it's just been constant. Then I got into theta healing. And that is a powerful healing modality that really is all about your limiting beliefs and the root beliefs. And on a conscious level, if you asked me, can women be successful? Can women make money? I'd be like, duh, of course. But when I was digging into my beliefs, we do something known as muscle testing. And when I muscle testing, the answers were no. because I was raised in, my extended family, everyone got married, arranged marriages. The women didn't work. They weren't quote unquote successful because they didn't have businesses or jobs or careers. And so that was a deeper rooted belief within me. So by spending that time and again, peeling those layers, and it's layers, I'm in my 50s now. And so it's taken me decades to go deeper. Some things I cleared earlier, but some things go deeper and deeper. And you have to have the life experiences for you to go, oh, why am I reacting or responding this way? So it's just been a journey for me. And I'm finally at a place where I'm like, I ask the question, who are you before the world told you who you're supposed to be?
Wait, okay, so that question was, who are you before the world told you who you were supposed to be? Let that sink in, Amigi.
Yeah. Who are you before the world told you who you're supposed to be? Because all the time it's like, okay, you're supposed to be like this, and you're supposed to be, and good girls do this, and good guys do this, and go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a good degree so you can go into the corporate world, and then, retire. And things are changing. There are new generations coming in. You've got the millennials and the Gen Zs, and I don't know what the Gen is after the Zs, W, X, Y. No, I'm X. So
I think it's alpha.
Alphas. And their way of thinking and being is completely different. You've got so many more entrepreneurs, people making money through social media and different things. So it's questioning those values. And I think, especially the older generation, are questioning, like, hey, wait a second. Why are we in that cog, the machinery just going and going, and, you retire at 60 broke? No. Sort of put the brakes. And so that's been the process. It's just introspection and asking yourself those questions. Why? Why am I doing this? Who for? Who's they? Who told me?
Yes. I want to dig a little bit deeper. So wealth, well-being, all of it are the three: happiness, health, and abundance. Let's dive into happiness. How do you measure happiness? Because happiness for me is one thing, and happiness to somebody else is something else. And then also our levels are totally different.
Yeah.
So how would somebody go about being able to measure that, or being able to evaluate, I guess, their own levels?
I'm going to just make it really simple. I mean, there's studies out there, there's degrees you can get in positive psychology, and there are theories that we have certain genetic predispositions on, how happy we are. But for me is, how do you feel waking up? Are you in a space of gratitude? Are you in a space of looking forward to things? And yes, life happens. It happens to the best of us. Doo-doo happens, right? But how are you being able to navigate life's challenges? So we're defaulted as human beings to a negativity bias. Comes from the caveman days, right? Fright or flight. Oh my God, saber-toothed tiger, run. But we have to learn to flip the switch to default to joy. Happiness can be subjective, like you said. Something that makes me happy might make you miserable.
Camping, miserable. Yeah. My friends, they love it.
Right. Oh, let's be out in nature and binge some clothes.
Thank you.
Yeah, glamping, air conditioning. I get it.
A soft bed.
Right? But it's learning. So a definition, happiness, a lot of people like the pursuit of happiness, but if you keep chasing something,
right,
you keep claiming it's not with you, and it's always this constant chase. So it is actually a decision that you need to make and a habit that you need to cultivate, right? You need to do it minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, month by month, till it becomes your default. How are habits created?
Practice.
You do something over and over and over and over again. We didn't grow up knowing even how to walk, right? The baby crawls, then walks, and we're like, hey! And they take their steps, and it's practice. Brushing your teeth. Now, you don't even think about, so many things are on autopilot because we don't even think about it. They're already programmed into our subconscious, and we just do.
Execute.
Right. And so it's creating this happiness habit. And joy, the definition of joy that I saw was gladness for no reason. Gladness for no reason. You're just in the space of, to me, it's gratitude. It's like, oh, look at the sun. Oh, what a beautiful sunset. And something fills up within you, right? It's very hard to put into words, right? But we have to make a happiness decision and then create the habit, and then you default to it. So doo-doo happens. I just recently went through a really painful, grieving time. And it's the habits that I've created over the decades that's allowing me to then come up for air, allowing me to practice joy, and allowing me to have grace. So, there's there's 3 different happiness types, and and I forget the terminology, but there's a type of retail therapy happiness, right? You go shop, you get the dopamine hit, and we're now in a society of constant dopamine hits with the social media scrolling, those micro dopamine hits. But there's then the happiness with being in society, and then there's that spiritual level of happiness where it's just you understand the blessing it is to be alive. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. And I think you talked a little bit earlier, so you said the blessing it is to be alive, right? And that you had gone through something hard and sad recently, and so you had to rely on your habits in order to come up for air. And I think when we talk about our health, we also have to rely on habits in order to keep our health well, right? Like our emotional health, as well as sometimes our lab work health, right? Like all of the different ways of health. And so as we dive into the health part, right, we talked about happiness, we're going to dive into health, and then we'll get into abundance after. What can individuals do in order to create habits? You said you connect habit with
a decision you make.
How does that connect with our health?
So again, we live again in a fast world, right? Everything is easy. So you grab and go, and we go through, have you heard the term decision fatigue? Right?
Yes.
And so by the end of the day, we're making, I don't know how many numbers of decisions. It's like in the thousands. And so then it's really easy to go to the drive-through, grab something that you know isn't the greatest for you, skip your workout, not hydrate properly. This is just like hygiene, right? One of the most important things we can do for our health is sleep.
Yes, you can please say that again.
Yes, because, a lot of people, I only need 4 hours of sleep. I don't sleep well, insomnia. Sleep determines everything. And it's the quality of your sleep, right? I wear a little smart ring on my finger, and a lot of people have the Oura rings, new rings in the market, which track your sleep. So you have your deep sleep, your light sleep, your REM sleep, your REM sleep, and all those levels have to be. So even if you have 4 hours, but if you've got great deep sleep and your REM sleep is, of a substantial amount, you're good. And there are people who can do that, but there are people who are not getting into any REM sleep and their sleep is really disturbed. That's like number one, right? It's sleep. And then it's nutrition, eating your foods. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
We all know if something comes out of a box, right? It's probably got things in it that are probably not for our highest and best. They teach you to shop in the perimeter of the grocery store with the fruits and vegetables and the meats and, the dairy. But again, so many decisions. We say, oh, we don't have time, but everyone has the same 24 hours. So it's making a commitment to yourself. So this year I made a commitment to my health. I have been going to all my doctor's visits and making sure I'm advocating for myself. And then, there's certain results that come out and you're like, okay. I'm like, Dina, time to be a little more mindful of certain things. And then choosing you.
Wow, that's almost the equivalent. Health equals choosing you.
And it is because, and I'm really guilty of this, it's very easy serving other people.
Yes.
A lot of us are givers, and it makes us feel good that we're being quote unquote productive. And you know me, I had served on so many organizations and committees, and I was everywhere. And then again, this year was a come to Jesus moment, come to Allah moment, come to Buddha moment, whatever you believe. And I was like, how is it? And don't get me wrong, being out there, showing up, it did make a difference. It did add value. It grew my network. It grew my influence. And I needed that because I wasn't from here. But then you come to ask yourself, is this just... It's so much easier doing for someone else. Like when I sat down to do work for myself or do a LinkedIn post or reach out, I had all the excuses in the world. And again, it was the deeper layers of it, right? My worth stemmed from my usefulness.
Ooh, say that again.
That your self-worth is of how useful you are. We grow up hearing it. First, for me, the layer of belief was my self-worth equaled my bank balance, my achievement, my quote-unquote success, right? And for me, if I wasn't married with 2 kids as a good Indian girl and had a husband taking care of me, then I had to be X level at work and have this much money. Otherwise, like, who are you? And you're a waste.
To society, to your family.
Right. And you hear it from different places. And then a deeper level was this, and it comes from religion. It comes from just like a humbleness and like selfless service, and you serve others before yourself. But I go out and I speak to groups and organizations, and I say, you have to fill your cup first.
Yes.
You have to fill your cup first because you want to be giving from overflow. Otherwise, you're existing on fumes, and then the resentment comes in, and the no one cares about me. I'm only doing it for everyone else. But these are, again, choices. These are choices we make consciously or subconsciously, because the subconscious rules like 90% of our lives, and we don't even think about it. Yeah. And and that's the line I tell people: we give away our remote control to the rest of the world. My parents, society, government, my partner, right? And here's my remote control. It's your responsibility to make me happy. It's your responsibility. If I'm unhappy, it's because of you. Oh, my partner doesn't care because he didn't bring me flowers, or she didn't do this for me. And A, does that person know? Like, are you communicating that? And B, what's stopping you? You love flowers? There's a grocery store around every block. Go pick yourself up some beautiful flowers, put them on your table and go, oh, that flower's making me up. Right? It's choices. So literally, I make everyone take back their remote control.
All right, I'm listening in. Did you hear that? Did you catch that? Take back that remote control. And if this resonates with you, I encourage you to be generous with the learnings you're learning right now and send this podcast to somebody that came to mind when you heard this. You and I, Amigi, are here to support not only your development, but also the development of others around us. Dale, press share. Okay, Dina, let's go back. So that that remote control.
Yeah, and it's crucial. It's everything, right? Because we forget we have choice. Mm-hmm. Everything we do, we have a choice on whether you react to something, and most of the time we're in reaction mode. Mm-hmm. Or you take a deep breath and then you respond to things that are important to respond to. But what happens is we take things personally. And so everything's about me, and like they said this and it's about me, and you have to really take this in. Nothing is personal. Everything comes from someone else's perspective, lens, the way they grew up, the way they were raised, what there was in their environment, and they are just reacting to that. And so if they say, oh, but Dina, like my mother, literally, she took my name and would say things, and I'm like, not my circus, not my monkeys, not my circus, not my monkeys, not, I had to chant it because of course it's personal. She's saying my damn name, but I had to realize she's coming from her set of beliefs, her set of circumstances, and it's not about me. I just happened to be there. Mm-hmm. And when you have this level of self-awareness and growth, having that growth mindset, you're able not to take things personally, and then you're able to respond. You're able to set your boundaries, right? Instead of adding fuel to the fire and making things even worse. There's a book that I recommend all my clients. It's a very simple book. You can read it in one sitting, and it's The 4 Agreements.
The 4 Agreements. Listener listening in, I'm going to add that link in the show notes. So what you'll do is you'll be able to just access that book right away with a link. So It was The 4
Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. If you haven't read it, do yourself a favor and read it. And the first agreement is don't take things personally. And it literally will change your life. I have shared it with young people, older people, all sorts of people. It's an easy read or a listen. I think there's even a YouTube video out there that has it, right? But when you don't take things personally and you take back your remote control and you understand everything is a choice, your happiness is a choice, your health and well-being is a choice that you need to make. And you have to choose you.
And I think this is the perfect transition because in wealth and well-being, we've talked about happiness, we have talked about health, and now we're talking about the decision of you taking yourself back, right? Your abundance. Mm-hmm. And earlier you had mentioned abundance wasn't just money. That is very important. We all need to be able to eat. We all need a roof over our heads. And we need our emotional abundance. We need our social abundance. We need our spiritual abundance.
Right. The world is so abundant, right? If you just go into a garden or a forest and you see there are all sorts of diverse plant life and they all coexist. No one's fighting with each other saying, oh, this plant is better, or that plant is better. There is a abundance of sunlight, rain, whatever they need, right? Mm-hmm. And we tend to use a narrow focus and see abundance as financial prosperity, which, do not get me wrong, I was like, oh, abundance, but avoiding money topics.
Yeah.
And, it's really, really important to understand money is energy. Money is an energy exchange. You're trading value, right? But it is also more than that. So if people are just fixated on that, you're going to lose out. because you could be the wealthiest person on the planet and be miserable. I've had clients who have jingos of money, right? But they don't have that happiness or the health. And that is abundance. It's all tied into abundance, right? And so you have to realize how important it is to take the blinders off and every day find something to be grateful for. A daily practice. It has been studied, researched that gratitude increases your happiness.
It does.
It's in like, we tell everyone, okay, write 3 things you were thankful for when you wake up and before going to bed. You're priming your brain. When you're about to go to bed, your brain works on what you're thinking about. So if you're watching the news, if you're watching violent shows, if you're, stressed about something, your brain is just going to dwell on that. And that's why people have crappy sleep. But if you take that moment and even if you're not writing it down, at least say a thank you for the day. Find something, even if it's whoever you believe in, thank you that the day is over and I get to rest my head on my bed. But put yourself into that energy of gratitude, right? And then doing things for other people is another proven way of increasing your happiness scores. Being out in nature, it's like there's abundance all around us. I don't know how else to explain it. I want to take people sometimes and shake them up and say, do you understand how blessed we are to be living? I'm Indian. I come from a Hinduism background, and they say, you go through several lives before you become a human. Imagine if you were a cockroach, right? The fact that you're human and you have opportunities and you have the freedom of choice. Again, it's choice, right? What you think about, you bring about. We're magnets.
Yes.
So it's all encompassing, and that's true wealth. Yes. That's true wealth. I'll quote Tony Robbins, there's the science of success, but you also need the art of fulfillment, living a fulfilling life. So a lot of people are wealthy, but they don't have passion and purpose. Right? They don't have passion and purpose.
Right.
And so then you have so many people who've unalived themselves and because they haven't found, and you're thinking, but you had all the money in the world. We grew up thinking, if only I had the money. But money just amplifies more of who you are. If you're a horrible person with money, you're just going to be amplified.
Yeah. And I want to dig in a little deeper. Is there a lesson you had to learn about abundance or about money, right, that you wish you could pass on to others before they hit the same wall that you did?
Yeah. So, again, growing up, at least in my generation, in my culture, women didn't sort of look at their finances. We don't talk about money. I know in the Hispanic culture, because I, do talks to different people, especially women don't talk about money or their finances. And then, so my dad passed away on his 60th birthday. My mom didn't handle the finances. Then it was like, Dee, what do I do? And I'm like, I don't know. And it created so much stress.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest challenge has been finances. For me, I have a wealth of everything else, but the challenge and my lessons are coming through creating financial wealth. But now that other things are check marked, that part I can focus on. But if I would give any advice is understand money and how it works. And if you're young, invest, understand how credit cards work. Look at your finances. Learn from people around you, because if you're running your own business, if you are working and you're getting, you have the opportunity to have a 401k, and just have the conversations. Make money something that is easy breezy,
Yes.
not a source of stress.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We talk about, in communication, we talk that transparency is ideal, right? That we need to talk about whatever we're feeling, or we need to communicate our thoughts and blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, the topic of money is something that we don't carry that rule of transparency or that rule of communication into our friendships or into our families or ourselves, right? And sometimes we pretend or we try to avoid checking our bank account, or sometimes we do the opposite where you obsess about the bank account. And so it's just really interesting that it's hard sometimes to have these conversations with our friends. Okay, dude, like, how much are you making? Okay, and then like, how do you pay for monthly bills with your partner? Or like, how are you planning for your retirement? How much or what percentages are you putting with XYZ? These conversations that we have openly about a lot of different topics with our friends, it is really hard to talk about money. And so these rules that we have in communication in general, whether it's at work or whether it's with your friends and how to communicate and be open, we need to translate that into other aspects of wealth, right? We talked about health, we talked about happiness, and we talk about abundance, and we need to carry those same rules into those areas.
100%. I mean, I was the former. I would not look at my bank balances and part of it was also I grew up a very spiritual person, and you don't really talk about money. Not that money was evil in my head, but I cannot tell you the number of times I heard, you think money grows on trees. I'm like, you know what? Yes, now money grows on trees. Money is everywhere. It is truly abundant, but it's true. I do a framework called the trust framework, and the T is for transparency. So same wavelength, and transparency in your workplace, right, creates well-being. It creates that physiological safety, which is in the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Safety is your number one, right? Having your needs taken care of. So having those conversations, and like, I think the number one reason for divorces in relationships is finances and not being able to talk about it. And another one, in because that's my focus, is mental health. And in this, because we're in the valley right now, people, you don't air your dirty laundry. You don't talk about things. It's like, put on your big girl pants or boy pants.
Slap on a smile. Let's go.
No one has time to be crying. Go to your work. And so mental health was never discussed. And so here you are having, and especially with men, right? So here you are struggling maybe financially and then not being able to talk about it, and your mental health is suffering, and then you have no one to share it with. So it's really important to surround yourself and cultivate relationships of groups, masterminds, friendships, of where you can have people you can have these conversations with. If it's not your family, it's that social connection. That's why it's key. But I never believed it, but they said you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with, right? But you really are. You want to surround yourself with people who are evolving, who are growing, who are talking with that growth mindset, not the Debbie Downers, not the people who are still stuck in the high school mentality of let's go party and why are you working so hard, and let's go have a couple of beers, and and you think, well, I've been friends with them all my life, but you will outgrow people because it's like tuning into a radio station. You might have listened to banda growing up, right? And because you're tuned into that frequency, people who love banda, you're surrounded with. But as you're growing, as you should, and as you're evolving and being more self-aware and thinking personal development, your frequency is going to change. Your vibrations are going to change. Now we're getting into woo-woo a little bit, but it's not. It's energy is life. And so as you're changing that radio station, you might now listening to classical music. Your banda people aren't going to understand that frequency, and you'll see they will slowly fall off, but we feel guilty that we're losing our childhood friends. But if you give it a little bit of time, you will attract the people who listen to the classical music. They will match your frequency, your vibration. And we want to work on our energy. Energy is life. It is what we attract. right? From our state of energy. You don't have to say anything. You can walk into a room and feel someone's energy.
Yes. I think that is probably the perfect place to pause and ask, is there anything exciting that is coming up for you that you want to share with my amigi listening in?
Yeah, so it's exciting to me. And I think it'll be relevant. Sometimes you get in your head too much and you think things are harder than it needs to be. I've been talking about forming a business, a simple LLC, for over 2 years, but I kept getting into my head. I wasn't ready. I thought it would be harder than it was. And literally over a coffee conversation.
Hold on. It took literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Like if I would have set the timer, it took 5 minutes. But please continue, Dina.
Exactly. And in 5 minutes, like I registered to have an LLC, and then, there's the next part of getting your EI number, but it isn't as hard. Some things are not as hard as you make it out to be. So the exciting news is I finally formed a company. I've been operating as a speaker for a while as a 1099, but now I launched Joyful, full with 2 L's, wealthy with the 2 L's, Living, Joyful Wealthy Living LLC. And it's just an umbrella for what I do. And what that is I do presentations and keynotes on well-being and happiness across the board. I like to say, like Justin Timberlake wanted to bring sexy back, I want to bring joy back to the boardrooms, to the classrooms, heck, even to the bedrooms, right? So bringing joy back, activating joy. So that's part of it. Then I'm part of a mental wellness company and the mental wellness movement and nutritional supports for well-being. Unfortunately, we can't get all our nutritional needs anymore from the foods we eat, no matter how clean, how organic we eat. So I'm really excited to have a brand partnership with that. And I'm thinking of doing more workshops for groups, retreats potentially, and just building this out. And even here's the thing, I'm in my 50s, I'm 51, and I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I'm having fun along the way, and joy is in the journey, right? So that's exciting to me, at least.
Oh my gosh, I love it, Dina. Congratulations. Yes. And amigi, we've entered the curiosity hour. On the pod, this is usually where my family asks me, Zulean, ¿qué aprendiste? What'd you learn? But because you are my guest, Dina, I'm flipping it on you. Amiga, what did you learn this week?
I learned to give myself grace.
That's a big one. Please.
Yeah, so like I told you, recently dealing with loss of a very close friend of mine. And people know me as Miss Energy, Miss Joy, they're like, but I haven't been at 100. And sometimes I get into my head like, I have to put it on. And it's giving myself grace, using the tools I share. So I've been doing the morning shaking just to regulate my nervous system, going for a walk with my dog, and really allowing myself, however long it takes me, and it's not going to take months, but it's this, it's this journey. So learning to give myself grace for how I am feeling in the moment.
That was
beautiful. That lesson.
That was beautiful.
No, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. And thank you for coming on today, Dina.
I loved it. This was amazing. I really loved our conversation, and I truly hope that it inspires your listeners, your amigi?
My amigi listening in.
Your amigi. I like that. Squishy amigis.
Bueno, amigi, that's the show for today. Si te gustó el podcast, if you liked the episode, make sure to share it, rate it, and write a review. ¿Qué aprendiste? Tell me, what did you take away from today? Como siempre, I'm your amiga Zulean, and I'm sending you off today con un huge abrazo, amigi. Nos vemos en la próxima.